Today in the program, my guest is Egrita Ndala, Senior Public Relations Officer for the Anti-Corruption Bureau, ACB. Egrita Ndala, you are the Senior Public Relations Officer for the ACB. Most welcome to Capital Spread Talk tonight.
Thank you.
Recently, we saw a number of investigations being carried out into the maize scandal. That Commission of Inquiry, we saw the Joint Parliamentary Committee coming up with their recommendations, but they agreed on one point of having you further investigating the matter. Do you think you're doing justice to Malawians as far as this matter is concerned?
As the Anti-Corruption Bureau, we are working on the matter, and maybe Malawians need to understand the fact that when that report or those two reports were issued with that recommendation, the Anti-Corruption Bureau had already started investigating the maize procurement issue, and it had already sent its investigators, a team that went to Zambia, where it conducted investigations together with the Anti-Corruption Commission of Zambia. And we are continuing those investigations. I'm sure you've seen progress as Malawians, but following the investigations that we've been conducting, the Bureau felt that there was a further step that it needed to take, so it got a search and seizure warrant from the court in order to search some of the premises where it felt maybe it could get some information which would be relevant to the investigation. And currently, what we are doing now is to find ways of analyzing the information that we gathered, especially the information that is in gadgets that requires a specialized analysis. So we are currently working towards finding ways of analyzing that information.
Do you think you're taking too long to analyze that information you're talking about? Because it's months now since this issue started, and all we hear from you is about investigating the matter. Do you think you're taking too long?
I think people should understand that investigations of such nature and magnitude would not actually be conducted and be concluded within just a day or two. So we don't think that we're taking too long, but what we think is that we're doing everything that is legal, so that the investigation that we're conducting is legal and lawful. Because if we were to just rush through things, we may end up doing things in a wrong manner, and at the end of the day, I think we'll not be doing a good service to the people of Malawi. So what we're doing now is following the law, and we're moving each step according to what the law requires.
You're talking about analyzing information. You've mentioned gadgets here. Which gadgets are talking about? Because what we heard mainly was about you getting money in the house of former Agriculture Minister George Chaponda. But here talking about gadgets. Which gadgets are talking about?
You should not say what you heard. You should say what you were interested in as media.
What do you mean, Mrs. Ndala?
The media was interested in the money, not maybe the other information. Because we gave that information. We said we had the...
Did you disclose seized everything that you seized from
We
this
said
house?
We had seized the gadgets like computers, phones, documents, as well as the cash. But what I'm sure you know that as media, you were taken up with the issue of the money, and most of the people are interested in the issue of the money and not maybe the rest of the information. So what we're saying is that we were not going there just to look for money. We were going there to search for information that would be relevant to the investigation.
I'll tell you in a moment why most people are interested in the money, unlike some other stuff that you seized. But how far have you gone with your analysis? At what stage are you as the ACB?
I think that is a difficult question to say we are at such a stage, but it's suffice to say that that's the work that we need to do, because for us to be able to move forward, we need to analyze that information. Because what the purpose is to see the information that has been found, whether in the gadgets, what could be found in the gadgets, as well as in the documents that we seize, so that will actually inform the way forward on the investigation. Because the purpose of the search and seizure was to help the investigation process.
Well, now, the issue about the money, you're saying that it appears the public was very much interested in the money. A similar incident or incidents happened some years ago, and the people who were found with money stashed in their houses or in their car boots were arrested immediately. Dr. Chaponda was not arrested and is not arrested until now as we're talking in this program. Why have you failed to arrest Chaponda?
The mistake that you're making as media is you are confusing two things, mixing them. If you remember the people that were arrested when they were found with money, they were not arrested by the Bureau. They were arrested by another law enforcement agency. So as the Bureau works the way we are doing.
After recovering
gather evidence.
Mrs. Ndala, after recovering that money,
evidence, after we've gathered evidence, then the evidence is pointing to the fact that there is a wrongdoing. We are ready with a case. We arrest and then we take the matter to court. We do not actually just arrest for the sake of the arrest. We do not work on emotion. We are a law enforcement agency whose duty is to enforce the law.
But the fact remains that the ACB do arrest people, isn't it?
We do arrest, but when there is enough evidence to warrant that arrest, not just because we want to arrest.
Going back
it's only after we've thoroughly done our investigations and then we arrest, except in circumstances where, firstly, maybe the arrest is made by way of a surveillance operation, where you receive a complaint that a wrongdoing is about to be done, and then you go there, you catch the people in the act. That is an arrest that happens before an investigation. Then maybe if you are investigating, you have not yet concluded, you get information that the person, the subject of the investigation, who is the suspect, is about to flee the country. That time as well, we also go get a warrant of arrest and arrest so that the person is restricted.
When are you arresting George Chaponda as the ACB?
I think it's a question that I cannot answer now because I'm saying the investigators are still working on it. So I wouldn't be able to say when, if at all there's any evidence, because Malawians should not actually just be saying, when are you arresting, as if they have evidence. These are legal issues.
What evidence are you talking about, Mrs. Ndala? You are the ones who went to his house and you seized money there, talking about gadgets. What else are you looking for?
These matters are under investigation. I do not have any information that I can say respond to your question. But suffice to say that as a law enforcement agency, we work according to the law. And that's what we're doing. We are following the law. We do not actually just do things for the sake of trying maybe to gain the attention of the people. We're not doing that. We are into law enforcement. And that's one thing that Malawians need to understand.
Are you telling this radio that there's no crime committed when you found those monies? There's nothing wrong with that. Is this what I'm getting from you?
When an investigation is ongoing, you cannot make a conclusion and say there's no wrongdoing. It's only when an investigation has been concluded. So we're saying we're still investigating.
Well, when I gave you that example, you said that it was not the ACB that actually effected those arrests. Are you surprised that after that raid until today, nothing has been done?
About what?
About the things that you got on those individuals that were found in possession of those huge sums of money. Nothing is happening to them. Are you worried as the ACB?
I think it's a question that it may be out of place for me, because you're trying to let me comment on another law enforcement agency's work, which is not proper. So I may not be able to answer that one. That's not within my mandate. I would speak for the Bureau and not for another law enforcement agency.
You took the money to the Reserve Bank of Malawi?
Yes.
Why?
Because that's the institution which has the mandate to keep any currencies. So that money was kept there for safe custody.
Recently, we also saw some CSO leaders staging demonstrations in Lilongwe, and one of the issues was to do with the way you operate as the ACB. They are pushing for the independence of the ACB, effectiveness in your operations as the ACB. Does it tell you that you're not independent? I
think they should be the ones to answer that question, because as the Bureau, we are a public institution which is mandated by the Corrupt Practices Act to work in the fight against corruption in Malawi. We're leading the fight against corruption in Malawi. But if people are questioning our independence, They have their grounds for that, and I think they have a right to do that because as citizens, they have a right to express their opinions.
I'll tell you, the general feeling out there is that the ACB is not independent at all. There is too much political influence at the ACB. Even the issue that we discussed here about Chaponda, people view it as a deliberate move by the ACB to divert the people's attention, but at the end of the day, they will not get anything. How do you take such criticisms?
As Malawians, I've already said, they have a right to any opinion that they may want. Nobody would actually blame them for taking any position in a matter because there's no way everyone will take the same position on one issue. People have various different views. But in as far as the ACB is concerned and the law that established it is concerned, it works according to its mandate, according to the Corrupt Practices Act. So unless they would want the act to be amended, they have that right, they have that liberty to propose to the people that are responsible for such work of reviewing the laws so that the law can be reviewed. But I don't think to actually accuse the Bureau would be a better way of doing it because it's the act that has established the Bureau as a government department.
But do you think you have done enough to demonstrate your independence?
Yes, we are. We are working in the fight against corruption. And if you were to see, there are challenges that we face, but we try as much as possible to work and save the Malawians in as far as we can with our limited resources in both financial as well as human. So we're doing the best we can.
Why is it that you always arrest people when they are out of office, be it politicians or even in various government institutions? You always pounce on them when they're not in power. Why is it so? Is it not telling us that you can hardly act on people that are in power?
I think you're not being fair by saying we always, because we don't always arrest people when they are out of office. You're not being fair to the Bureau.
Tell me, have you ever acted on people that are in power?
Yes, we have.
Like who?
Currently, the Nai's case. The Nai's case was about a minister who was sitting and we were investigating. So what else do you want to hear from us? The
person that you have not arrested until today is the one that you're talking about?
No, the issue should not be arrested. The issue is we're investigating. I think we've already discussed that one. If we are to concentrate on one case and be talking of arrest, I think you're not being fair. Yes. I've already explained to Malawians to say we are working on it. We are investigating. Moreover, I think let's be clear here. We started the investigation in January. This is March. The people are still working on the matter. You mean it would be fair to do a willy-nilly thing, arrest somebody when you don't have enough evidence? You take that person to court. At the end of the day, they sue the government of Malawi for wrong arrest and the like. Would that be good? Would Malawians be happy with that one? I think what we're doing here is to make sure that we do everything according to law so that at the end of the day, we have said we saved Malawians better. So it
is in the interest of fairness.
It is in the interest of fairness. It is in the interest of justice.
Today in the program, I'm talking to Egrita Ndala, Senior Public Relations Officer for the ACB. Let's talk about the issue of immigration. Recently, we saw you arresting former Minister of Home Affairs, Mr. Radi Musa, and of course, former Chief Immigration Officer. That issue dates back to 2013. Why has it taken you so long to act on this matter?
Again, I think on that one, let's be clear. We received a complaint in 2015, and that's what we've been telling people. The complaint that we recorded was in 2015. It was in 2013.
And this is 2017.
Matters that happened in 2013, 2014. But the complaint came in September 2015. When we got that complaint, the Bureau started investigation, and the matter was concluded sometime, I think it was the end of 2016. Now, when this time around, we've started arresting people, people are starting saying, but why have we taken so long? I don't think you'd be saying we've taken so long. It means you're also being contradictory. There's a case that we've started in January, you want us to arrest it today. There's a matter that we started in 2015, people started saying, why have you been so quick? I think there we're being not being honest with ourselves as Malawians, that's the perception that we are having, because it seems we want things to be going according to what we want and not according to law. we've concluded a matter, we've concluded the investigation. Then if the next thing is the case is ready for prosecution, we have started arresting because the matter is ready to be taken to court.
And we understand that as the ACB also investigating the Electricity Supply Corporation of Malawi, ESCOM, what exactly are you investigating there?
It's an allegation to do with the issues of procurement. I think I may not be able to go into details about it, but it's in addition to do with allegations to do with it procurement.
How far have you gone? Because at some point we heard your officers were not allowed to carry out the investigations, be it questioning and the like.
The investigation is underway. What you're referring to is water under the bridge. The investigation is continuing and is going on.
We heard some civil society organization leaders in Blantyre last month actually asking you, the ACP, to investigate the leader of opposition in parliament, who is also president of the Malawi Congress Party, Lazarus Chakwera. Have you received those complaints?
That issue, we're getting it from media. We're hearing that from you members of the media because you were the ones who were being briefed. Getting it from there, the Bureau would actually find that the complaint, if the complaint is like that, it would be something that would be a bit difficult to follow. Because as it appears, as we get it from the media, it appears that there may be an investigation that needs to be started maybe on everyone who is building a house. Because there are a lot of people that are building houses in Malawi. So I think they should be able to come forward because we know maybe they could not actually give all the information that they had.
So you're telling this video that no formal complaint has been lodged with you?
At the time I asked about it, I was told that there wasn't yet a formal complaint that had come, and I think that's why we are now asking for the grouping to come forward and present the evidence, the information that they may have to the Bureau. Because we understand that maybe they may not have been able to give the information, all of it, to the media, knowing that maybe they may have some sensitive information. So we would like to humbly call upon them to come forward to the Bureau so that we could get a better understanding of the issues.
Let me try to get hold of the chairperson of the CSPCD who led these CSO leaders when they raised this issue in Blantyre. You, Mr. Nakoma, 2 or 3 weeks ago,
yes,
you led a group of CSO leaders,
yes,
where you raised this issue.
Yes.
Why have you failed to lodge a formal complaint with the ACP?
I thank you very much. I think what we will do now is just to take that statement we released and then give it to the ACB to say this is what we are complaining for, therefore they need to investigate. That is normal to say ACB will need a formal complaint. But wherever ACB cannot investigate only when there is a formal complaint. Can I give an example? Say, for example, when Mr. Nankuma went to his constituency and delivered a lot of items, ACB called the minister to explain the source of his grants.
So how sure are you that there was no formal complaint on that matter?
We have evidence that there was no formal complaint. If there was a complaint, can the ACB produce that complaint and say who complained? We, the civil society organizations, we have evidence to say if the ACB comes in, because it is a call from the civil society to say we are suspicious of what is happening, that to us it will be a price.
But why did you think of bringing the issue to the media instead of bringing it to the attention of the ACB?
Whistleblowing does not mean to say one should go to ACB and lodge a complaint. But what we are saying is we will lodge a formal complaint. But before we do that, we are calling for ACB to say we have blown the whistle, they should come in and investigate. But if they would have a formal complaint, we will go with a formal complaint as civil society organization.
Do you have any grudge against Chakwera yourself?
We don't have grudge. As civil society organizations, we have the oversight role. We play an oversight role to anyone. We are happy to say, even if the civil society organizations are calling for the probe of transactions which happened at Egrita. Now we, the civil society, we do the oversight duty. Therefore, we don't have any grudge to anyone.
Mr. Nakoma, many thanks that you joined us in the program today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Now, back to you, Mrs. Ndala. Do you have any problems with the way people bring issues to the ACB? I'm asking this question because of late we have seen the ACB questioning a number of people, whether people have donated things, people have, as you're putting it, building houses.
We don't have problems with getting information through the media, but the information should be enough sufficient to warrant an investigation. But otherwise, just maybe as an allegation, just to say, just because somebody is building a house and we need to start investigating him, it actually may pose a problem, because the question that others are going to ask would be, is he the only one who is building a house? We look at those things. So that's why we're saying maybe there could be some information that these people could be able to share with the Bureau that would actually help the Bureau so that it can see how it can go about it.
As I've said, there are a lot of thoughts about the ACB. How can you assure Malawians, the public, that you're there to save it?
We need to let Malawians know that we as an organization, we are a public institution which is there to serve the public interest, and we're there to enforce the law. So Malawians should be able to come forward when they have any allegations, complaints to do with the corruption, both in public, private service, and they're able to help even in investigations, because it doesn't just end on the complaint. It also goes to when we're investigating. People should be able to also open up as we are asking them about the information. If they have any information on an allegation that we're investigating, people should be able to come forward so that we can work together in the fight against corruption. Besides that, I think Malawians should also understand that an investigation, a criminal investigation of a white-collar crime like corruption, is not something that can just be done as quickly as maybe they would want. There's need for thorough work to be done. These are issues that do not actually happen the way maybe other crimes happen, where somebody would actually be just seen and everyone will say, this one has stolen this thing, this one has murdered that one, this one has done that. The white-collar crime is a crime where most of the times there's exchange of advantage. Both the giver and the receiver may have benefited in one way or the other, and as a result, there's secrecy surrounding it. So there is a lot of work that has to be done if we are to uncover evidence that would prove such kind of allegations. That is why the Bureau takes some time to investigate such issues, because normally when you are investigating, you discover that when you're thinking that you have reached a point where you had all the evidence, you discover that there's some leads that will taking you to another direction, and you have to follow that one, because in the interest of justice, the investigation is not just done to ensure that you prove somebody wrong. It is to ensure that you prove the truth that happened. And if the truth would be that no wrongdoing happened, that would be the purpose has been achieved. And if it proves that there was wrongdoing, a purpose too would have been achieved. So Malawians should be very patient with us, should be also mindful of the fact that this is law enforcement. At the end of the day, after we've done all the investigation, if there's a matter is going to be taken to court, it has to be tested, and one of the issues is the legality of that information, and we have to make sure that whatever we're doing is legal, because some cases can actually be lost on matters of whether the information was legally obtained or not.
Is the ACB under any pressure from the powers that be?
No, I don't think. I don't think we are under pressure from any power. We are under obligation to serve the public.
Do you take orders from the powers that be on who to arrest,
no.
Who to investigate? Do you?
In fact, the order that we get is an allegation, which means the person who has brought a corruption allegation would be the one who has given an order to the Bureau to investigate. And when there is evidence, it will be the evidence that would have given an order for the Bureau to prosecute a matter.
Mrs. Ndala, many thanks that you joined us in the program today. I wish you well.
Thank you for inviting us.
Many thanks indeed. And this is how we conclude this edition of the program, Kabiro Straight Talk. Today in the program, I was talking to Egrita Ndala, Senior Public Relations Officer for the ACB.